What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Therapeutic Edge. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. It absolutely helps the channel, and I would love to have you here on a regular basis. What is on the table today is not a new knife from Artisan, but it is one I think that deserves a second look. This has been out for a couple of years at this point, and you can still find them out there. They make a budget version of this, which is in D2 and G10, and this, of course, is the premium version. This is M390 in titanium. This is the Tomahawk. Now, there was a phase, which happens in the knife world a while back, of cleaver-style knives. This was absolutely at the forefront, and I never got one of these, and I should have. Now, they make an S35VN version of this as well, and there's a Damascus version, and as I mentioned, there's a D2 version. You can find the Tomahawks in a bunch of different styles. This, of course, is the one for me. I got this at the California Custom Knife Show. Is it a custom? Nope. Could I afford it? Yep, so I got it. And having had it now for a couple of weeks, I think it deserves a second look. So here we are. This is a marvelous cutting tool. It is lightweight for its size. It is comfortable in hand. The cleaver style blade is just really, really slicey. I love this thing. Let's take a look at what you get. Now, as I mentioned, this is titanium and M390. It's been milled out, as you can see here, for some weight reduction. The action is superb. It's not slap shut, it's more slide shut. Now, it does eat up a fair amount of pocket because of the shape of it, but I don't really care. It is good to carry, and I love the sort of low-key pocket clip on this thing. It's a frame lock, and we are locked up at a little under 50, so about 45%. Just a clean, simple, yet elegant design. This is a marvelous knife. Let's take a look at what you get size-wise. You get 3.5 inches of cutting on 4 inches of M390. The grip area from behind the flipper tab is almost 4.5 inches, so there's plenty of knife here. Now, they do make a small version of this. Women Carry Knives owns it, and I can't for the life of me find it. Sorry about that. It is considerably smaller, if you're interested in such a thing. This knife is overall 9 inches long. It's a big boy. The closed length on this thing is a full 5 inches. Now, because of this shape, as I mentioned, it does eat up a fair amount of pocket. If we angle it because of the flipper tab there, we're coming in at 1.75 inches right here at the top of the pocket. So the way this thing hangs, the flipper tab is got some jimping on it. It's not sharp or anything, but you're not going to want to put too much else in your pocket when you're carrying this, and that's okay with me. I like big knives. The choil up here is completely usable if you wanted to choke up this way. I don't, actually, when I'm carrying this knife. I tend to work either this way, forward on the mat for draw-style cuts, or just hold it back here for push-style cuts. I will say that there is more than enough tip on this if you wanted to move somebody along. It's pretty good at that. The knife, I've said this in a bunch of reviews for older knives, the knife community, the industry, moves so fast. So when I was young, which was a million years ago and everything was in black and white, companies produced a couple of knives a year, maybe. Now, it's a lot more than that, and it kind of shows, because stuff like this, which is exceptionally well made and really nice to carry, kind of gets left behind. And that's a bummer. So, here we are. What you can't see, because this one is all blacked out, is that the titanium here is milled, so there's texture. So it's got grip. It is not slippery in hand. It is running on bearings. And again, the action on this is super good. You can flip the clip. It is lefty friendly, although you can't change where the frame lock is, so it's always going to be a right-hand knife that you can carry left-handed, but you can do it, which I think is nice. It's got a little filler tab there. Not everybody loves filler tabs, but I like the way they've made the filler tab match the pivot collar. It's a standard T8 on this side. The rest of the screws are T6. That's okay. This is a great pocket knife. Let's do some size comparisons, shall we? Well, here it is against a more recent Artisan knife. This is the Arian in full tie. And as you can see, it is a little bit bigger than the full-size Arian. Here it is against the Mini Centauri that has just sort of come out. And as you can see, it is considerably larger than that. Let's compare it against some knives that some of you may be a little more familiar with. Here it is against the full-size Rat 1. These knives are very similar in length. Of course, you get more cutting by a little bit on the Artisan Tomahawk here. And of course, the materials are just a whole different world of better than the Rat 1. Here it is against the Rat 2. And as you can see, it is much, I guess we'll move that up a little bit. It is much, much bigger than that. What else do we have on the table that's fun and interesting? Here it is against the SOG. This is the one of their XR series, right? It's a nice knife, and as you can see, the Tomahawk is much, much bigger than that. And here it is against the full-size Presidio 2 from Benchmade. Tomahawk's bigger than that. The Tomahawk is a big, big knife, but it's a surprisingly good carry, even though it is a big boy. I love stuff like this. Look, if you want just a basic pocket knife, right? What do we have on the table? We have a lot of Artisan on the table. I just did a live. There's a lot of Artisan out here, but we'll go back to the Rat 1. This is just a pocket knife, right? Straightforward, simple, not particularly artistically designed, just a great cutter. If this is the tool you need, that's fine. You can do that. Stuff like the Tomahawk here brings something else to the table. It brings interest, and there's a lot of it. I did a live the other day where I talked about my entire Artisan collection and CJRB. And I love what they do, you know? I mean, if you want just a straight cutter in a nice, good steel that's inexpensive, you can get the Scoria. You know, if you want something that's a little more radical in design, but still, you know, completely functional, you can get yourself, again, the Gobi. These are both in their ARRPM 9 steel, which is a powdered budget steel. Right? If you want to spend a little more money, you can get yourself one of the new Arians. Straightforward cutter. Excellent design, nothing fancy, but really well done. But if you want something a little more wild, you can get something like the Tomahawk, or you can get yourself a Proponent if you want something even bigger. Artisan makes knives for every budget, and they make knives for every style. And I really like that about them. This thing is amazing. The Tomahawk should have been in my collection, particularly this version in m390, should have been in my collection the whole time. Since I have had this, I have just carried the crap out of it because it's fun and very useful. Let's go ahead and weigh it out. This is not going to be a particularly long review. There are a ton of reviews on this knife out there in the world, but I just wanted to put a light on it again for fun. Now, because of the amount of milling on the, I mean, look at it, it's all the way through, speed holes, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it's going to be that heavy. Keep in mind, this is a 9-inch knife. Yeah, 5.1 ounces for 4 inches of m390. Yeah, okay, we'll take that. Let's go ahead and get out the calipers and see how much of that m390 they give you. Just shy of 4 millimeters, 3.85. Yeah, 3.85 millimeters. It's a nice thick chunk of m390. It does have a nice edge on it. It's a little thicker back here because of it's shorter after the flat, but up here at the front, where there's a nice long drop, it's got a beautiful belly on it, by the way. This is a great cutter, and it's particularly good. I've used this thing in the kitchen a couple of times just for fun since I got it. You can get plenty of knife, particularly because it's got this belly at the tip. Plenty of knife down. Now, you're not going to want to use this for, kitchen knife duty, but you can in a pinch. I would keep in mind that because of all these holes, you're going to want to keep this clean if you use it for that. The Artisan Tomahawk, an interesting knife from a couple of years ago that I think deserves a second look. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'd love to have you here on a regular basis. If you're interested in the Tomahawk, I will post links to both the Artisan website, and if I can find one somewhere else, I'll put a link in the description for that as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.